It's time for Wretched Radio with Todd.
Just a bit confused. This is Wretched Radio.
So, normal day then?
Pretty much same old. Trip Lee. But I think he was voted as one of the top 100 influential evangelicals or Christians. I don't know how that works exactly, but apparently he's one of them. He's a rapper fellow. He's a co-pastor at a church, I want to say south side, maybe southwestern side of Atlanta, Georgia. And we've heard this young man preach before. Really impressive. And for your consideration, another snippet from Trip Lee. But I don't know why we need this guy. I do not understand why we need to. We have got plenty of cool at Wretched. In fact, if we are anything, we're cool. I don't think we need this fellow to tell us that it's more important to follow truth than cool, when we certainly could have done that because we are your purveyors of cool.
Yeah.
You know, on second thought, let's let Trip Lee do it, shall we?
I want to give 4 reasons cool is a bad compass for our lives. The first one is that cool is fickle. Cool is fickle. Cool adjusts and changes with the time. Just ask some dude who used to be cool in high school. He's still talking about that because that's all he got. Cool changes. Some of y'all ain't laughing because it's you. Conviction, unlike cool, doesn't change. Conviction is this thing, this believing, this faith, right? It doesn't change. It stands firm and it speaks to new situations, right? What we need for a compass is not something that's changing all the time, but something that's firm and reliable. That's why cool is a bad one. Because with cool, true north is always changing, depending on the time, depending on the group of people you're with, who you're trying to please. You don't know where you're going to end up. Different people say different things are cool all the time. Right, there's some of you who say stuff is cool just to try to convince people it's cool. No, church is cool. Homeschooling is cool, and it's just homeschooling is not cool. It never will be. It may honor Jesus, not cool.
And it doesn't have to be cool. We Christians, we're not about cool. We're about biblical. I do believe that I mentioned this just yesterday here on Cool Wretched Radio. That expository preaching, according to Gallup, it's the latest rage. It's the big trend. And as Tim Challies rightly points out, that's a bad thing. Because in our pragmatic, cool, evangelical culture, you know what'll happen? These bend with the wind kind of guys are going to go, hey, wait a second, you're telling me that there's a new trend that's really cool and my church can grow if I do this? Okay, then I guess I'll do expository preaching. And instead of it being good expository preaching, it's probably just going to try to be cool because they're simply trying to jump on the cool bandwagon, and that is not what should motivate expository preaching. It should be that we want to hear from God and not some cool dude on a stage. We want to hear truth that is unbending. Remember, it is not about being cool. It is about being godly. And this is true especially if you're young. Do you want to really, really be cool? Wrong motivation. But you want to be different? Be godly. Yeah, many people striving for that. Again, this isn't pragmatism, and you shouldn't become godly because it's hip and it's going to set you apart. You should become set apart because you're set apart. And with God, no shifting shadows. So let's do it this way. If God wore clothes, God is spirit. In the 70s, he'd wear bell-bottoms, and we know now those were not cool. They were wrong. And parachute pants in the 80s. No, God doesn't do what is cool. He doesn't do what is trendy. He does what is true and what is good and what is right. And that's the pattern that we're supposed to be following. Not what the latest hip thing is, like too many pastors.
Number 2 reason cool is a bad compass. Cool is about sameness, not strangeness. Right, and so if we've been called to be aliens and strangers in the world, cool cannot be our ultimate gauge. Cool, alien, and strange is a little bit of an oxymoron. One of the reasons is because cool is restrictive. It threatens to cut you off if you stop playing by the rules. And so there's plenty of good stuff that seems strange and not cool in our culture. I got married when I was 21 years old. You would have thought that I joined the dark side the way people looked at me. Like, but what about fun, though? Like, married? I mean, I might have fun with my wife. Why do you think my life is ending, right? I'm not going to heaven just because I'm getting married. There are plenty of things that are good. It's the best decision I ever made. There are plenty of things that are good that seem strange and not cool in our culture.
Let's just take his little anecdote for a moment. This was brought to my attention, by one Adrian Rink, the whippersnapper that you see on the Wretched TV show. I asked him why he got married so young, because he did. He actually joined us here at Wretched 5-6 years ago.
Was he 12, 13?
No, he just looked like it. When he joined us, whippersnapper. And he came all the way to Georgia, and he had nobody here. And within relatively short order, he was married to the pastor's daughter, and now they've got 4 kids. And I said, why? And he said, well, and this is a bit of the trick if you're young. He said, because everybody that I talked to said they wish they'd gotten married younger. Nobody said, oh, I'm so bummed that I got married at a young age. I'm so bummed that I started having kids right away. Never talked like that. And so he took that to heart. And he realized, you know what? If those people think that it was a good idea to get married younger, then I'm going to try to get married younger. None of them. People who didn't get married young, they were like, oh, I wish I had. Wish we had started having kids. I feel that way. We started having kids late, and it was like, really wish that we had done it sooner. And had I had any sense, I was as dumb as a mule or as my dog, which I think actually might be dumber than a mule. I say that with him. Actually, where is he?
Your dog now or your dog then?
He's underneath my desk right now. My dog now. Dumber than a bag of hammers, the animal. I wish that we had gotten married sooner, but I had no sense. And so Adrian took that to heart and went, I'm not going to try to be having fun. I'm going to do what's wise. I'm going to do what people who have gone before me have said was good and avoid the things that they have said that was bad. Don't follow cool. Follow wise.
Third reason, cool is self-obsessed. When we're overly worried about being cool, coming off cool, we're no longer worried about actually encouraging and building up the people we're interacting with. We're trying to build our brand, not build up our brothers or sisters. Cool becomes self-obsessed so that we begin to use people for the little jolt of self-esteem we get when someone thinks we're cool instead of loving people. You ever caught yourself in a situation where you're not thinking about how to build someone up, you're just trying to think about how to make yourself look good? Cool can do that.
Tangentially, just read an article from The Art of Manliness. How to be a good conversationalist. It's so easy to be self-absorbed, isn't it? And this article was stop listening to what people have to say and simply grabbing on what you want to talk about yourself and using it as the subject. So something like this. Hey Tony, what'd you have for breakfast today? You know what I had for breakfast? Oh, I'll tell you. I had that oatmeal from Costco. It is delicious. It's the steel-cut oatmeal. Don't do that.
Best, yeah.
Don't do that. Be concerned about other people. Be wanting to hear what other people have to say. Cool does not allow you to do that. Why? Because you're too worried about you.
Last thing, what's cool isn't always what's true. What's cool isn't always what's true. People can say and do dumb things in cool ways. Right, and that can attract people to it. Jesus teaches us to shun cool when it conflicts with true, right? So there was a time when it wasn't cool to care about black people or racial justice. There's a time when it wasn't cool to push against that. There's a time when it wasn't cool to care about refugees who are being run from their homes. And it's not cool to care about the rights of the unborn. So what do we do when trendy contradicts true? Which will we choose? I want to encourage you to choose true. No matter how much pressure you feel around you to change, you never have to fold in order to give in to foolishness because cool is not your compass.
By the way, if you're an older person and you're thinking, that's what the kids need to hear these days. No, that's actually what everybody needs to hear these days. Because peer pressure like that, it never goes away. It's always hunting us down, always wanting us to capitulate, always wanting us to be a part of what's hip and trendy. And it can be subtle things. It can be fashions. It can be furniture. But frequently it's truth and behavior, and it doesn't stop. when you graduate from high school.
Last thing I'll say, if cool is a bad compass, then what's the good one? And I want to point back to those three virtues. Paul talked about faith, hope, and love. He again says, we recall your work produced in faith, your labor motivated by love, and your endurance inspired by hope. The kind of work that's actually worth us chasing and spending our life on is not produced by self-righteousness and self-promotion. It's produced by faith in eternal truths. And our labors that we're called to work hard at should be motivated not by bitterness or competition, but by love. And our endurance, right? When we get pushed back and people don't like us and we're not cool enough, we face different kind of levels of pressure. We should be inspired with hope by the second coming of our Lord, right? This life isn't all I have. I have hope for something beyond this, so I'm good.
Very glad that somebody identified Tripley as an influential evangelical. If you heard his message and you thought, okay, I'm going to go with that because that would be really cool, then you missed the point. We desire holiness because of what God has done for us, and He is holy, not because it happens to be currently cool. This is Wretched Radio. Don't forget, if you would like to hear the entire daily broadcast, simply visit wretched.org, go to iTunes, figure out your favorite Android listening platform, and you can listen to the entire program every single day, downloaded to your listening device for free. Well, thanks to our monthly supporters called the Gospel Partners. If you'd like to partner with us, we'd be very, very grateful. Simply visit wretched.org.